you're an Australian, there'd be more interest in going over and playing like a US sport because of the facilities and the money rather than like a US person coming here. Like Mason Cox, if he played NBA, would be earning what he's earning in AFL. So if someone is fit and they do have advice to give, why shouldn't they give it? I've had people sending me death threats before on social media. That's more of an issue than people giving unsolicited fitness advice. If someone's unfit giving fitness advice, then I agree. You should take away their account and ban them. The bigger your following gets, the more insecure you are, because there's always a bigger fish. There's always someone with a bigger following, and it's like, well, hold on. If these people are just hanging around me for my following, then I introduce them to someone with a bigger following, they're just going to piss off and go be friends with that person. It's like they're just going to jump up the ladder. I truly believe that humility is the most important thing, and it's like no matter how well you're going, downplay it. You're not going that well because it can be taken away like that.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in again. If you're listening, make sure you give us a review and make sure you go and watch it on YouTube as well. Give us a subscribe over there. I feel like when you watch it on video, you get more out of the podcast and you learn more about our guests and whatnot. Facial expressions tell a lot when you're watching a podcast. We're thrilled to welcome our guest for today. He's an absolute legend, right? I've been following him for a while now. And Tom Bolch. Bolch? I'm going to go with that.
That works.
It sounds badass, to be honest. Sounds badass. He's better known as Prime Train. And you've taken social media by storm, not going to lie. As a PT, man, you're everywhere, right? And that mullet, I think, stands out. So it's easy to identify who you are.
It is very recognisable.
Yeah, that 100%. And you've freshly came from the US, from New York.
Yes.
And we're absolutely honoured to have him on. And so welcome to the Out of Interest podcast, man.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Honestly, my first question is going to be, how long did it take for you to grow that mullet?
Common question. Probably about 4 years. I think I started cutting it during COVID, which is now a long time ago, probably 4 years ago. Like I said, it's been that long, and you couldn't get any barbers or anything at that time. So I just started cutting the side of my hair because you can't see the back. So I just started cutting the side of the hair with myself, and still cut it myself pretty regularly. So that's pretty much the story, and can't see the back, so don't cut it. So that's how I've ended up with this haircut.
Look, legit.
That's it. That's a true story.
All right, fair enough. So you're just having just growing and growing and growing for
just
4
cut
years.
I just cut the sides, and whenever I need to do that, I probably like every week or something, I just cut the sides, and then I'll cut the top a little bit as well, obviously, every now and then. But yeah, that's pretty much how I've grown it. Yeah,
so as you mentioned, you just recently came from your trip. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you landed a couple of days ago. How was the trip, man?
Trip was sick. I went, fortunate enough to go to New York. My sister lives in New York. So I went over there initially to kind of celebrate her graduation and all of that. And she also had a Header of the River as well, which crazy, like all their college sports is on ESPN, which is like really cool for her. So and really cool for me as a brother as well to go and support. So I was fortunate enough to go and do that, and then I was lucky enough to play some footy over there as well. So I played some footy in the US AFL for the New York Magpies, which was pretty cool, and then was fortunate enough to go over to London as well and play in AFL London, which is pretty fun.
The US, say it again, the US what?
US AFL.
There's an AFL over there?
Yeah. But it's obviously not like professional or anything. Yeah. It's kind of just like pretty like local and grassroots, but it was really, really good fun, and great to just meet so many people, and then also obviously do content on it as well. So being able to give exposure to the game overseas, and also back in Australia. A lot of people do travel overseas to go and play footy and whatnot. So or just travel overseas for work, let's say, and it's always good to let people know that there is, footy over there if they want to go over there and play, any type of AFL.
How's the quality then?
It's obviously not as good as Australia. So they have a rule over there where it's like 18 players on the field, 9 of them have to be US people, and 9 of them have to be, can be Aussies, right? Mm-hmm. But they do that because they want to promote the game over there and don't have just all Aussies playing the game. They want to be able to promote the game, in the United States, and the same rules apply in London as well. So that's kind of how it all works. And it was a lot of fun going over there and playing.
Do you think it'll ever pick up in the US?
It's so funny when you go over there and you're like, you show people the game and they're like, wow, man, that's so cool. You guys play with no pads. So they go crazy for it.
That's the biggest difference.
They love it. You show them like the highlights of it and they're like, wow, you Aussies are crazy. They just they go crazy about it. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know if it'll ever, like, it's obviously never going to pick up like it is in Oz. But, we've got people that like Mason Cox and that that come over and play our great games. So, that's pretty cool to see. And I think there's so many really good athletes over there that could come over and dominate in the AFL.
There's a big push for different sports trying to penetrate the US market. You see cricket right now. For the first time, you're seeing the T20 World Cup
At the
in
NBA
the US
as well. Yeah.
The NBA, you've got Formula One's making a big push into the US. Never before have we had 3 races in the US. Now you've got Miami, the usual US, Las Vegas,
and you got Austin.
Austin, yeah. So it's quite massive.
Yeah.
The AFL for a long time has been trying to somehow get a foothold into the US market. The funny thing is, it's actually almost worked in reverse, where the NFL has such a huge following over here. You've got, your Super Bowl Monday and everything else. It's locked down over here. Every office is closed and people watch all that. Why can't we get as much penetration there as they do get over here?
It's just market share, isn't it? And it's also media. They have so much media dedicated to their sports. Like, they have NBA talk shows on like 20 different channels every single day, nonstop. And it's also interesting. Like, their media is so, especially the NBA and NFL as well, their media is so intriguing and so interesting. They've got First Take, they've got people like Stephen A. Smith and these people that are just world-renowned people in the media. And I think that in Australia, we struggle a lot with our media exposure. We're a little bit behind with that. And I think that that's a big reason, but it is just market share. Like, it's just bigger and people like to be involved in something bigger. So it's a good question though, but I think it's because maybe Americans prefer to wear pads. Maybe they're too scared to wear no pads. They're too scared to play a real tough sport. I don't know. But I'm not too sure.
I feel like Australia doesn't invest a lot into their sport. Like, even when you look at like combat sport, bro, we've got a lot of legends. Like, you got like Alex Volk and whatnot. Like, if Alex was American, he'll be an icon in the US. But I feel like Australia doesn't promote their athletes a lot.
Yeah, but when you go over there, like, as I was speaking about my sister before, I went over and looked at all the colleges that she got scholarship offers from. So we went to about 15, 20 colleges, and over there, their facilities are the most incredible. Like what you're saying, they're world-renowned facilities. Like, these places are genuinely insane. Like, they've got gyms the size of like football stadiums. That's their gym, right? And we are so far behind of facilities financially. We are, not even close to anything what they have over there. So yeah, I guess like if you're an Australian, there'd be more interest in going over and playing like a US sport because of the facilities and the money, rather than like a US person coming here. Like, Mason Cox, if he played NBA, would be earning what he's earning in AFL every single day, almost, for the year, right? For the year of what he'd earn in a day in the NBA. So that's also, like, money's obviously a pretty big thing.
When you talk about facilities and things like that, a few months back, I was invited to the GWS Giants in their facilities and whatnot. So you go through there and you see how the AFL is investing in the new clubs. And they have obviously nothing like what you're talking about in the US and the NFL, but their facilities are better than, for example, North Melbourne here, right? So you're getting some of that. Do you feel that the AFL is going about it the right way in terms of expanding the domestic market share, expanding into Tassie, GWS, Gold Coast Suns, and all that type of stuff, and making small investments all over the place rather than just consolidating and saying, look, we're going to have a small number of teams, but we're going to throw everything at them. All the TV rights money, all the advertising revenue, stadium revenues and all that type of stuff, because at the end of the day, it is a money game, right? You throw enough money at it, it will grow and you'll capture market share.
Such an interesting conversation and topic of conversation. It's a really good point, because the AFL is, in my opinion, and I think the AFL is the biggest sport in Australia.
Yeah.
Do you agree? But I think it's the biggest sport in Australia, and they get the most amount of people to games. So, like attendance numbers, they probably make the most money. So they're doing something right, So I don't want to bash them, but I think, and with what I do, I'm lucky enough to travel around and play footy at different local levels and community football. I think that they'd get more out of investing into the grassroots football where it all starts. Junior football, grassroots football, because without that, the AFL doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, that's the starting point. I agree with you. AFL is Australian Football League. Like it's Australian. So you'd be better off investing your time, effort and money into Australia, whether that's grassroots, whether that's the clubs that have been around for longer periods of time rather than, you know, the expansion clubs or the new clubs. I think that the Tasmania push is really good. I think that that's fantastic. I think Tassie deserve a football club and are kind of just forgotten about. They're just this little island down south that we forget about, but they have such a rich football history, heritage and culture. So I do believe that's the right move. But then after they've done that, I think, you know, just keep investing it into grassroots footy. I think that's the most important. Without that, footy doesn't exist.
Yeah, I agree. But I want to touch on to your story a bit, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously a PT. There's a lot of PTs around now.
It's a bit of a saturated market, isn't it?
It's like the new thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's acai bowls and PTs now. That's literally what it is. What makes you special, man? What's going on? Tell us.
Great question. What does make me special? No, I think that for me, the way I started off was always training like an athlete. That was kind of the catchphrase almost at the beginning that got a lot of people interested and intrigued by what I do. So for me, I never, you know, there's obviously training like an athlete or athlete training, and then there's, you know, training like a bodybuilder. And as a bodybuilder, you're doing these squats and deadlifts and bench presses that don't necessarily transfer so much into your sport. If you're let's say, for example, you play Australian rules football, you're changing direction a lot of the time. You're never laying down, or you're never really just doing a 2-footed squat. You're generally going to be jumping off one leg instead of jumping off 2 feet. So a squat isn't necessarily going to be as transferable as maybe a step up, which is going to be, you know, unilateral. It's going to be a single arm, single leg movement. If you're doing a fend off, bench press might not be as important. You might be better off doing a one arm push press. So those kind of things are the things that I really integrated into my training programs. And that's kind of what has always set me apart from just a general PT that's trying to coach an athlete without having that knowledge of what an athlete needs to do. They probably aren't equipped to train athletes, I'd say.
Right. Because I'm looking at your bio right now. It says #1 ranked pro athlete trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that self-proclaimed, or is that like a legit accolade?
Bit of both. Bit of both in that.
Explain.
Yeah, a bit of both. I think that, I don't really know anyone else that's training pro athletes. I don't know. Could you name anyone?
No.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's one way of putting it.
One way of putting it. I don't know if you can name anyone else.
Is there anyone else?
Exactly.
None come to mind.
Yeah,
no.
None come to mind.
Yeah.
I feel like we should start.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it was always, you know, for me, when I first started, I was, you know, I was training a lot of people in rugby and in AFL, and I didn't really know anyone else that was a one-on-one personal trainer with all these AFL athletes. Like I reckon I was, you know, in the pre-season, the off-season, I'm training between 20 to 50 AFL players, and I don't know anyone else that is doing that on that kind of scale.
Like individually or
individually?
Individually.
Yeah. So whether that's a fitness program or it might be nutrition as well. A lot of people do really love to get their nutrition dialed in. The fitness training is a lot harder in season for me to do because obviously they have their own strength and conditioning coaches and programs, and I don't want to interfere with that. But in the off season, when they do get that kind of period to outsource and look for someone else to help them, you know, get that extra edge in the off season, whether it's fitness or nutrition, like I said, then they'll generally come to someone like me to do that.
You know, on that topic, I was watching the Tom Brady doco that's on Apple TV, Dynasty, and it talks about how much of a rift he had with his coach when he started to farm out some of his own personal training work to a private coach. And this guy apparently elongated his career by an extra, I don't know how many years he added to his career. Is the AFL and AFL clubs, are they supportive of players outsourcing some of their training on their own, outside of the club, no controls? Because isn't there a bit of a risk as well? These guys are paying a big salary to own that player contractually, right? And they're saying that because we want to protect our asset, we're going to provide them with accredited trainers, accredited dietitians, accredited whatever. And all of a sudden comes along a personal mate or a personal trainer or somebody who came through a reference and says, okay, well, I'm going to entrust you off season with my training. How does the club feel about that? Have you ever had any pushback or anybody come back and question that?
I've never had the club specifically come to me, but I would say that the club has come to the athletes before and said, are you sure about this? So there has to be some sort of agreement between myself and the player, either, especially with what I do, and I'm always like, can I post this on social media? Are you comfortable with this being posted on social media and people knowing that we're working together? And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no, and that's totally fine with me. I've got no issues with that. If they're doing it, behind closed doors and no one really knows, then that's kind of like play on. But if you're posting it all over social media, then it could come at a risk, especially like you said, if they do get injured or something, then that probably is going to come back to bite you. But then it's really hard because you obviously want to post on social media because it adds validity to your business. And then, everyone else that I sell programs just online, anyway, on my e-commerce store. And, people would love to see testimonials from pro athletes. So that always helps your business. But like I said, it is a double-edged sword.
Has anyone rejected it because the club didn't allow it?
I have had before, not necessarily training, but I sell my own supplements as well, like protein powder and pre-workout and that type of stuff. And that all had to be HASTA approved or WADA or ASADA approved. So you have to take it to a legit testing facility and then get the documents or the contracts back to say that this has no banned substances in it. And then after I've done that, got it all ticked off, then I've given it to, to AFL players. And then they posted it on their story and said, so glad I got this. And then they've had the club or the dietitian of the club message them and say, you can't be posting this. We're not 100% sure it's all right. Or they've already got their own sponsorships. The club, say for example, are sponsored by Musashi or something, so they can't be seen posting or taking other supplements or pre-workouts or protein powders as well. So there's obviously a conflict of interest there as well.
So what made you get into personal training? Usually people get into these sort of things if they might get dumped by their girlfriends, or they start hitting the gym, or they're just fat, and one day someone tells them, hey, you're fat, and then hey man, I'm gonna make a difference. Tell us, there has to be something there that took you to the gym, man.
I've mentioned my sister already twice on this podcast, but I'll do it a third time. She was initially, we've always been very close, and she was kind of got out of sport a little bit around, I'm the older brother, so I was like year 11 and she was like year 9, and she kind of got out of sport and fell out of love with, fitness and nutrition, was at boarding school and put on a little bit of weight, and there was getting a little bit of stick from her friends for that. And she came to me and said, can you help me out a little bit? I'm year 11 for what am I, 16, 17. I wasn't had no idea what I was doing or what kind of exercise program I was going to give her, but I was going to the gym and that type of stuff. And she said, well, can you write up a program for me and help me out? And I was fortunate enough that I got to see the progression of her mentally and physically, and most specifically, it was mentally. It was like the physical came, but then I got to see her change mentally, and that was a big thing for me, where I was like, I feel like I have a purpose, and that made me feel so good that I was like, I want to be able to do this for everyone.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like heartwarming for me, because it was, someone close to me, but then I was like, I could do this for more than just one person. I could do this for hundreds and thousands of people. So that was probably what first got me into it. And it was the feeling of reward of like, this person is really getting something out of it. And if they dedicate themselves to it, then they'll definitely get some progression.
So where did the content creating come from?
Well, that came from, for me, I was initially working in group fitness, so F45 and Fit Stop, and then I was kind of doing PT stuff on the side. And for me, I could only max train 4 or 5 people a day without wanting to fall asleep at midday every day, without burning out. So for me, I was like, there's only a specific amount of money I can earn, and there's only a specific amount of people I can train. And with that, meant I needed to, expand my horizons and create social media to advertise my business. So that's where it all started. And it began as pandemic training during COVID. And that lasted for about 6 months or 12 months. Didn't have the longevity, the name, unfortunately. But eventually it did become Prime Train or Prime Training, and kind of blew up at around 2021, 2022, around then. So yeah, it was definitely a process.
How did it blow up? Was it like a viral video that happened?
Yeah, it was viral videos on TikTok, and it was literally 8 to 10 second videos of me saying, stop training like this, do this exercise instead. It was like, stop training like a bodybuilder and doing this, overlaying with some exercise, might be a squat or a deadlift or a bench press. Instead, train like an athlete, and it will be some different exercise that's kind of related, alternative exercise that people could do. And it would really, really piss off people because they were like, no, this is right or this is wrong. And it's like, at the start of your social media, if you want to grow, you're going to have to be controversial, and you're going to have to risk people not liking you. That is it's a big thing. And I don't like people that go out and be controversial to the fact that they tear other people down. That was never my intention as a social media creator or video creator. It's always to be controversial to the system, not controversial to someone else. So that's kind of how it all started. And you got to run the risk of people not liking you.
Yeah. In this world of social media influencing and whatnot, and in the financial services sector, you have, finfluencers, and you have a lot of banning around that as well. In the fitness side of things, really these days, anybody can get up with a video camera, a microphone, and start giving out fitness advice, health advice, nutrition advice, and people follow that. Do you not think that there should be some degree of, protection or an authorization or something like that accredits a person to be in a position where they can actually give advice? Because, okay, you're somebody who has you apply what you say, you've accomplished something through that, and you have credibility. You train athletes and whatnot. But then there are
I've got the degrees.
Exactly. There are so many other people out there who don't have any of this type of stuff. And they go out there and say, look, you know what, well, he can do it, I can do it. Let me get up there and talk about, okay, well, you should squat like this and you should lift like this. And they can actually genuinely damage somebody's body. Where's the balance in that? How do we control some of this stuff?
That's the question. It's like, how do you control it? I agree. There should be some sort of barrier of entry for people that are trying to give advice on social media, no matter what it is. If it's financial advice, if it's I think there is financial. Like, there has to be a barrier for financial advice. It's like, well, why isn't there the same thing for fitness? But I do think at the same time, like, generally speaking, if they are giving fitness advice and they are fit, what is the problem of them giving that advice? Because if you live and breathe what you say, and you are fit, and probably one of the biggest issues we have in the world at the moment is people are unhappy and they're unfit. Is there a link between those two? I would say.
Yeah.
So if someone is fit and they do have advice to give, why shouldn't they give it? I don't know.
Fair enough.
I believe that there should be accreditations linked to it, but then how do you control that?
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's impossible. It'd be impossible to, and that kind of ruins the freedom of speech that you have on social media. And the freedom of speech on social media is difficult, and it is a hard thing because people can just tell someone to kill themselves or something. It's like, it's full on, and it can be used for good or bad. But I've had people sending me death threats before on social media. That's more of an issue than people giving unsolicited fitness advice.
Death threats to a PT. What are you saying wrong?
What you do, man?
I don't know. But like, people get real pissed off, man. They get really angry. But like, in terms of the issues, like, that should be prioritized as a worse issue than someone giving fitness advice that is fit. If someone's unfit giving fitness advice, then I agree. You should take away their account and ban them because they shouldn't be giving it.
On TikTok, especially, there's a lot of people that contradict each other.
Yes.
Like gym advice. Like,
agreed.
someone will be like, hey, do the movement like this, and the other guy will like repost that and he'll be like, no, do it like this. And another guy reposts it, it's like doing something else. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, what do I do? At that point, I'd rather just sit and just do nothing. I'm so confused.
Well, that's the issue of social media. Is it's and everything at the moment. I believe, on social media, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, and then you have one person one week saying calories doesn't matter, and then you have the next one saying you got to count your calories, and then one person says the grapes give you cancer, and then someone says if you eat 5 eggs a day, then you're gonna have freaking, I don't know,
Become a chicken.
constipation.
I
I don't
that
know. Like, I
People
don't
make
know.
comedy out of it
That's
now.
the thing. It says too much nitty gritty. It's like, it's pretty simple, right? Like, fitness is simple. You go to the gym once a day. You do cardio once or twice a week, 3 times a week. You sleep your 8 hours. Eat protein. It's really not that hard. Drink water. Is it that hard? Eat unprocessed food. Like, that's like 5 things I think that like you need to do. And like,
It is hard because there's a lot of fat people around now. A lot of lazy people around.
that's the issue though, lazy.
Yeah.
The issue isn't information, because we have the most amount of accessibility to information ever. You could Google how to be fit. It's there.
Yep.
The framework is there. I have programs that the framework is there. You just buy them and you follow them.
You can get ChatGPT to write you a program.
You get AI could write you anything. But the issue is that people are too lazy to do it. They're too lazy. They're undisciplined and they're lazy.
Oh, I want to get your take on Ozempic.
Yes.
That's flying these days.
It is, isn't it?
What's Ozempic?
Ozempic
He
is
knows- he knows what it is.
Ozempic is a drug, a fat loss drug at the moment that
Alright,
people are
tell me
taking,
more
And
and
it is flying off the
it's
shelves.
flying.
All right. I like
It's
this.
flying.
Help
Yes.
me. Keep me. What is it?
The issue is with Ozempic, and I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I was like, in 20 or 50 years, there will just be a pill that we can take, and that will be all the nutrition and food that we need for the day. It'll be a pill, and it's done. Our bodies aren't designed to live like that. We haven't lived like that for centuries. Why? What should be the change to that? Like, I would never take that pill, and even if it has all the scientist backing that it's all you need to take, I wouldn't take it, because I would rather eat and train and do everything as human beings should. And the same with the Ozempic drug. I just think it's fake. Like, there's evidence that you can lose weight, gain muscle, and be fit without it. It's just people are lazy, like we said before, and they're looking for shortcuts. That's the thing with Ozempic.
Because now you're getting all these celebrities who are onto it, and everybody's vouching for this thing, and even a lot of medical, thought leaders and whatnot getting behind it as well, saying, look, what actually works, because it's normally a drug used for people who have diabetes and things. And apparently, if you switch a few little bits and pieces of it, you can actually have the opposite effect, and you can lose weight off it. And you just every day take like an insulin shot.
Now,
Ozempic.
the issue is sustainability.
Yeah.
You get it off, but you're living in this fantasy world where everything's working, and then you go back to your bad habits because you haven't actually trained yourself to be disciplined with your food, with your training, with anything.
Yeah.
That you have no idea how to actually be fit and healthy, and then you keep taking the Ozempic, and you keep taking, and then you end up with no body fat. And you know what happens when you got no body? What do you need body fat around? Your heart, your brain. It's not going to be good for you.
I was gonna say, like, going to the gym, exercising it's not mainly about putting muscle as well. Like, you're there to get the heart going, so you live a longer life.
But it helps your mind as well.
Yeah, like
right?
there's
Mind,
a
big
lot.
one
You feel
for me.
much better. You
Yeah.
mentally feel much
It's
better.
a lot more than just losing weight.
But these days, it's all a lot of the big focus is cosmetic, right? A lot of people lose the weight because they want to look better.
Yeah,
They want to be able to be more catchy, more whatever it is. And that's just how the world's become these days. So
Vanity. It's vanity, but I think that's also, primarily because of social media as well. People are comparing themselves to people that, in the fitness industry, I'm like not the fittest looking, I look fit, but compared to, some people, but
You look fit.
yeah, look fit, but then there's
chiseled.
people,
You look chiseled, man.
I'm fit,
Like a
but I'm
Roman
not like,
god or something.
I'm not like there's people out there. I'm not like C-bum, right? There's people that are. I'm not saying C-bum does, but like there's most people in the fitness industry on social media are taking steroids.
Yeah.
Like it's a compare and contrast, and I wouldn't do it because, well, if I did it, you'd know, because I'm pretty like lean naturally. But you just, I don't know. It's a hard thing because you're like, if I want to be successful in this, fitness industry, then I have to look this way, and it's a really hard thing. But that's the thing in social media.
Can you share with us real quick your day to day? So you said you wake up at 6 a.m. Right? So how does your day look? What do you do?
So I'll wake up. I wake up every day at 5. 5 to 6 is generally when I wake up. Now I'm really big on going to bed early and waking up early.
So what's early? What time do you sleep?
Like phone away at 8:30 p.m. asleep by 9.
Jeez,
So you generally put your
that's
phone
early.
away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things that you can do, I reckon. Like getting your sleep super dialed and getting to bed early. There's nothing happens after 9 p.m. on social media that you won't just get to see the next morning when you wake up. And it's like, I don't know, I feel fantastic when I'm really dialed with my sleep and I've got like perfect circadian rhythm. So I go to bed when the sun goes down and wake up when the sun comes up. I feel fantastic. And then for me, I'll usually start the day off with boxing or, go for a run or go to the gym, something physical. And then pretty much start hooking into work, 7:30, 8 a.m. Always got emails and that to reply to, always got meetings or, do a podcast or something. We release these hoodies tomorrow. So that's been a hectic process of 12 months designing and altering and sampling and everything, getting that all sorted. So always I run 3 businesses at the same time, a fitness business, an apparel business and a supplements business. And that it never stops. You're always designing, you're always sampling, you're always getting things sorted. And, you're always back and forth with the warehouse, trying to get things sent out or getting orders sorted. So that takes a long time, but yeah, it's a bit of a process. So that's kind of how my day looks.
So this next segment, we have a Who Am I quiz about the AFL with Prime and obviously Ali and I. And this segment is brought to you by the Halal Money app. The app enables users to transact and invest in Islamically compliant ETFs, which are driven by Hejaz, as well as having term investments as well through the app. And the app's available on Google Play and Apple App Store, so download today. So now into the rapid fire, the quiz.
Let's do it.
Let's quiz it.
So we got 5.
All right.
5 different.
Do you guys know your AFL well?
If
Maybe
they're
not as
all the
well as
players,
you.
I will not know.
These guys are mad Richmond.
Okay, so they're all going to be Tigers ones. All right.
Oh, who you support?
Essendon.
Essendon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
He's a supplement man, this one.
Each of my I've got clues essentially. So the first one is obviously the hardest. That'll be worth 5 points.
Okay.
All right.
And then as we go lower and lower, the easier it is, but the less points it's worth.
Uh-huh.
Okay. That's
So the first AFL, who am I? Buzz in your name if you know it. I currently play for one of the biggest clubs in the AFL.
oh, come on.
And that's the point of it.
Yeah,
Come on.
Stab in the dark.
I mean, come on.
Dustin Martin.
Help me out here.
I'm a 2-time Premiership player and a Norm Smith medalist.
Ooh,
Yeah.
2-time.
I'm known for my exceptional vision and calmness under pressure.
Prime. Scott Pendlebury.
Correct.
Come
I was going for the
on.
other one.
Yeah. 3
I should have
points.
gone for the other ones.
I do it.
Well done.
If we get it wrong,
I'll be locked out. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Just throw some names
I'm
out
going to
there.
throw it out there then.
It's all a bit of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Throw it out there. All right, the second one. I was drafted at pick 3 in the 2009 AFL draft.
I was 9. Like, how old was I then? 9 years old, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known.
I can't.
I wouldn't know.
I originally wore number 36 before changing to number 4.
Number 4,
Ali.
Muzz.
Dustin Martin.
Correct.
Well done.
Yeah, number 4 doesn't matter.
Well, I thought pick 309. I thought you might even get that.
Yeah, well done. Far out. I should have known Tigers. That's just, yeah.
Because not many people know he wore 36.
No.
All right, Ali's on 4.
All right. Just let's finish
You're
it
on
here.
fire, bro.
All right, third one. I was born in 1988
Oh, come
in the
on.
country town of Bendigo.
Yeah.
I hold the AFL record for the most games played as an AFL captain. Next one.
AFL captain.
I'm one of 4 brothers who all played AFL football.
Ali.
Prime.
Well done.
Josh Selleck.
Damn it.
All right.
Well done.
All right.
I knew I was going to get there. Damn, I should have known that because, yeah, anyway.
Well done. All right. Second last one. I was drafted in 2001 from the Box Hill Hawks in the VFL.
2001. It's a child.
I'm a two-club
I was one.
I'm a two-player having played for a Victorian team and a West Australian team.
Prime.
Yep.
Chris Judd.
No.
Ali. Ali.
Good guess.
That 5?
He hasn't played for a
Muzz. Ben Cousins.
No.
No.
Oh, damn it.
Alright,
That was going to be your next one.
The first one. I've won 4 premierships and played in one of the greatest teams of all.
Prime.
Yep.
Sam Mitchell.
Correct.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
It's a funny. You never forget you
Play
played
for
for
West
West
Coast.
Coast.
Play for West
days
Coast
ago,
at the end.
man. Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, got it. Well done. These are good. Puts me on 6. What are you on? 7.
What am I on, man?
7.
0 and 7. So Prime's 1 behind. So this is the last one. Can Prime win it?
I get competitive.
We love it. We love it.
Me too.
I retired in 2010 as one of the most talented and controversial players of my generation.
2010.
I played 270 games across 2 AFL clubs.
Oh, jeez.
Be hold on the buzzer for this one.
I'm ready.
I was a premiership player for West Coast in 2006.
Prime. Ben Cousins.
Correct.
Yes.
That's where Cousins.
Yeah.
When you said it, I was like, he's coming up.
Oh God. I was gonna go Judd or Cousins.
Well done.
I was tossing up. What was the next 2 clues for?
I finished my career at Richmond,
Yeah.
and I was famous. And I have a famous tattoo that says "such as."
Okay.
Yeah.
That one should be number 1.
Yeah, too easy.
Very good.
Did you train any of these guys?
Nah, not that I know of. No, I haven't. But there will be.
You know, one of the, I guess, unintended outcomes of the nature of your work would be you'd have a lot of inside sort of goss with the AFL, right?
Heaps.
With players and whatnot. What's the biggest sort of
Piece of goss I can
piece
give
of
you.
goss you can get, or that you've received in the past?
Gee whiz.
Because you'd know about transfers before they happen. You'd know about
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like I trained a lot with some of the Pies boys
Okay.
after they won the flag last year.
Mhm.
I got some good Mad Monday stories, but nothing I would be happy telling on the podcast without
Yeah.
getting a message from some of the boys. But some pretty funny stories that you get of the the 4 walls. But I don't know, like it's the same as any local footy club. What everyone does. It's like it's always funny. You always have people that that go pretty hard, and then you have some people that don't, and you could generally guess who the people are that have a pretty good crack, and the ones that
It's
don't.
it's like a workplace. Like the gossip happens.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
yesterday at the event, I'm not going to give his name, but there was a footy player there, and we were talking, and he knows I'm a Richmond fan, and then he's like, "Oh, I go surfing with one of the Richmond boys," and because Richmond's in the shits right now. That Richmond player is telling him all the goss that's happening in the Richmond club, and he's like, it's falling out. There's a lot of problems in the club, blah blah, and I'm like, no wonder why we shit at this point.
Literally.
It's literally in the shits, and players tell each other all these things.
Yeah.
And it was cool to get off him. I'm like, damn man, so it's like a workplace because all the gossips happen here as well. It's like
Yeah.
everyone gossips at this point.
It's the same thing. Like it's pretty scary when you get inside the 4 walls, or you get like the goss that really shouldn't get outside of the 4 walls. Like it should stay inside the football club. God, I've had a lot of stuff, but nothing I'll be too. I'll tell you off it.
Hey man, look, I want to ask about your social media, right? Obviously, right now everyone is trying to be famous on social media to grow themselves, grow their platform, make money off it. And you told us about how you had a viral moment on TikTok and it blew up. Once that blew up, like how did that change your life? Like really though, did you start getting more clients, or did you blow up in making money, or did you blow up in the popularity? Did you blow up in the AFL space? Let's delve a bit more into that side of the story.
When I had my first viral videos, I grew in a following. My financially, I grew. Everything grew. And it's really hard as a 21-year-old. Less, the social media kind of happens and your business happens and all that type of stuff happens. But then mentally, as a 21-year-old, you're still very young. I'm 24 now. I'm still young, but I've matured a lot in the last 3 years. And when everything grows and it feels like you're on top of the world, it's a pretty difficult thing for a young mind because you're so happy with how everything's going. You've kind of made it, and you get recognized when you walk down the street, and people recognize that you're getting photos and everything, and you feel like you're pretty cool. But that starts to die off pretty quickly when your social media starts to slow down, the views start to slow down, your following starts to slow down, and it's a very big moment in my life where I was like, you got to stay humble, because I was pretty happy with how I was going. And then, you start, you go to Vegas for a couple of weeks, or like, you're doing all these kind of things, like spending the money that you've earned that you never really expected to have. You're getting all these crazy brand deals that, you're getting paid X amount to post a photo with a freaking water bottle, just for their brand, and they pay you a lot of money, and it's like, wow, I made it. And I don't know. So like, to answer your question, I think that the social media is all good and well when it's growing, but like, you do have to make sure that you retain your humility as that grows, because that can be the hardest thing. And just staying, like, being authentically you is pretty important.
I sort of feel that with a lot of social media influencers, particularly those like yourself who sort of ramp up at a young age, trying to manage life around that is quite challenging, right? Because now, for example, that, okay, at some levels I'm a celebrity. Now, the girl that comes into my life, is she in it for me, or is she in it for the fame?
So
the mates I have, are they hanging around with me because of whatever spin-offs come off me, or is it because there's actual mateship there?
Yeah.
So, and that really plays on your mind, because the natural human trust and loyalty and dedication that normal human beings have, you now start to second guess everything. Everything becomes paranoia. Everything becomes a little bit, you read into things a lot more. So how do you expect to manage that? Again, you're very, very young, but as you get older, you're like, okay, well, and hopefully the brand continues to grow and the platform continues to grow and everything goes the way you want it to go. How do you expect to manage all that?
It's really hard, because you're almost insecure the more you grow about the people around you and the people that begin to come around you. And I think that something that I realized after a couple of years is, like, all of these friendships I have are very transactional. Like, these people are looking for something from me, and I'm looking for something from them. Like, this isn't a real friendship. There's actually nothing going on here. So that was probably a big realization I had about 12 months ago, where I was like, sat down with myself, and I thought, who here is actually my friend? Is my partner here for me? Or are they here for something else? So I think that, back to your question of how do you manage it, you really just have to go back to, to kind of being authentically you, and then that people are only there for who you actually are. And you do have to make some difficult decisions, difficult calls on who you surround yourself with, because, like you said, you generally probably know who's in it for you and who isn't, and that's always a hard thing. So figuring that out is a big step when you start to kind of grow a little bit on the socials and in life.
You see people who do really well in social media over a long period of time, and it's like their entire life is up for show. When they get married, like you look at Logan Paul, for example, the girl that he brings into a life has to be of a particular type. Then the marriage has to be of a particular type. Then when he has kids, they also become social media content. Everything is a means to an end, just to continue to feed the beast. Because the beast pays for everything, right? The platform pays for everything. So I need to continue to provide content to my ever-growing follower base. And if I stop that, everything vanishes.
Everything goes, and you being authentic includes you having to show your partner,
Yeah.
your kids. That is how you get a following, because like the followers are so engaged with actually who you are and they love you for who you are. But then that has a trade-off. It's like, now everyone has an opinion on your relationship.
There's no privacy.
There's no privacy whatsoever. Everyone has an opinion on your friends. And it could be from a snapshot 10-second video
Yeah.
of you and your partner doing whatever it could be anything, just like having a meal or talking about red flags in a relationship. And you will get thousands of comments of people saying, oh my God, like, can't stand her, or can't stand him, or like, these guys are so bad together, or like, you can tell they're insecure. And it's like, how the would you know
Yeah.
anything about any of our relationship? You've seen 10 seconds of a clip of our life. So that's the hard thing. Yeah, it's definitely hard.
And what advice would you give someone that's, you know, starting to become famous? I know you said about, you know, being humble and
Just
whatnot.
got to stay humble, man. Yeah.
That would be the biggest
That's
advice.
the biggest key. It's
is it from experience? Did you have a moment where you didn't become humble, like you became arrogant? Is that why you were saying it?
I think my mum always told me pride comes before a fall. And I think that when I was at my most proud of my achievements, that's when it all come crashing down. So I truly believe that, you know, humility is the most important thing. And it's like, no matter how well you're going, downplay it. You know, you're not going that well, because it can be taken away like that. And surround yourself with good people, man. Like, that's such a big key. I think that surrounding yourself with really good friends, like I've got 3 to 4 friends that I love, and that's all I need, you know, like close friends. Everyone else doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really matter. As long as you've got those 3 to 4 and you've got good family as well. You know, my parents and my sister are amazing supporters, and they've always got my back, and they're fantastic, and I love them. And then my 3 to 4 close friends and my partner, I don't need to spend time with anyone else.
It's funny you say that, because we talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of popular, famous people say the same thing, right? Just keep a small circle, right?
Key.
Even us, like we talk about it, and then people think you're just arrogant. Where we're
not good enough.
Yeah, we're not good enough.
Yeah.
But coming to your point before about, like, you start questioning why people are coming close to you. Do they want something? Do they want that? Do they want this? Like, why? And you said, you know, why is my partner with me? Are they for me? And that's something that is so common amongst successful people, that you start questioning everything in life. It becomes like annoying at some point. Like, what's going on here?
You're insecure
Yeah.
because the bigger your following gets, the more insecure you are.
Yeah.
Because there's always a bigger fish. There's always someone with a bigger following.
Yep.
And it's like, well, hold on. If these people are just hanging around me for my following, and then I introduce them to someone with a bigger following, they're just going to piss off and go be friends with that person.
Yeah.
It's like they're just going to jump up the ladder. So it's a hard thing.
It's amazing you said that. I was talking about exactly that with someone the other day, where like there's someone that's always trying to get close to me, right? Because they see what I'm doing and whatnot, the people that I hang around with. And I'm thinking, and we're talking like, come on, like what do you want out of this? Like, tell me, just tell me what you want. It's like, oh no, I want to go to your events, I want to, you know, meet people in your podcast and whatnot. And that's what I always have in mind. It's almost like you just want to come with me to meet other people and just make your way up the pecking order.
Make your way up.
Right? And just make your way up, you know, be friends with him, and then he knows people, and it's like,
Yeah.
it becomes,
And you're just a stepping stone for them. That's all it is. You're a means to an end.
Yeah.
It's scary, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's so scary, and that's why, like you said, you need those 3 to 4 close friends, and they're almost like a shoulder to cry on. They're your support network. That, like, if someone does come in and they feel a bit off, that their intentions are off, they should tell you straight away and be like, I don't think this person is good for you. I don't think that they're leading you down the right path. So it's really important to have that support network that know exactly what's going on in your life, and know who's good for you and who isn't. Because a lot of the time, it's hard to make decisions, you know, on your own. And it's really important to have that support network, no matter what you're doing. If it's people coming in your life, people going out of your life, if it's a business decision, or it's if you should post this on social media, you know, like for me, it's really good having people that also post on social media that are in my close network, because we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other. If it's like, you know, this is doing really well or this video does well, and it's like you're a team, you know, and that's the most important thing, having a team.
Now, putting the personal thing aside, how about when it comes to business? What advice would you give to a young guy trying to make a business out of social media? Or you could maybe share the mistakes that you've done and that people could learn from.
Post as much as possible. Create rather than consume is what I always tell people. And a lot of people are addicted to consuming social media. And that was the first thing that I thought when I was on TikTok. And I was consuming it, and I deleted TikTok about 5 or 6 times because I was consuming it too much. And I thought in my head, and I was like, hold on, flip the switch for a second. Why don't you start creating and other people consume what you're doing? I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I started creating, less consuming, and just find the balance that works. Because you do have to, as a creator, you do have to consume a little bit to figure out what's trending, what works, what doesn't work. But consume with a purpose. Don't consume like a zombie. Consume, save a video, get ideas, do that type of thing. That's important. So I think that creating is so important. And I created for so long, for like 2 years without getting a single like or follower. I would have had 200 followers for 2 years posting nonstop on social media. No one could care. And then as soon as you hit the jackpot and you start creating some viral videos and everything, everyone seems to care. Yeah. So stay real to yourself and just create more than you consume.
Yeah. So what's your overall mission right now?
Help as many people as possible. Whether that's losing weight, gaining muscle, helping with their nutrition, progressing in life, improving their mental state and mental well-being. There's a lot of things that a lot of young men really struggle with, and I've got a really good young male following that I do believe listen to what I have to say a lot. So for me, it's just helping them in whatever way I can and putting more smiles on more people's faces.
Yeah. That's very nice.
Noble vision.
That's a very noble for a 24-year-old.
That is a mature head.
Very mature. Mature response.
I try.
Do you see yourself doing content with other sport?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think that the more content that you can create on different levels and different things, the better off the wider your net is that you cast, the more people you can bring in. So gaining that following number and improving your following is only going to come from casting your net a little bit wider. So yes, 100%.
Do you have any other questions, brother?
No. Great chat.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Do you like to be called Tom or Prime?
Whatever. I think Prime. I think Prime? I like it. I think
You like
I'm
Prime?
so common now that it's just like, it's my name.
You should become a Prime athlete with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just fits perfect, man.
Yet to get the
Logan
deal.
Paul,
Yet to
man.
get the contract.
'Cause I don't
Send me
think
the contract, Logan.
I don't think he has any Prime athletes in Australia. He goes
Send me
signs
the
up in
contract.
every Logan.
Volk? Didn't Volk do it?
Yeah, but again, like Australia doesn't really Australialize him. So he's not very known in Australia because Australia doesn't pump his tires.
I feel that he's not. Yeah, I didn't even know who he was until he was in his title fight.
No way.
No idea.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
No idea.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
I know.
That
And I'm
says a
pretty
lot.
big into like sport and like I follow boxing pretty closely, MMA not as closely, but like I would know what's going on in the world of it and wouldn't have known him at all. Just it doesn't have the media exposure here as what it does in the US.
Yeah, 100%. He's
Yeah.
massive all
Achieve.
over the world. But hey, Prime, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Appreciate you.
I hope
boys.
everyone enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good shit. We'll see you guys in the next one.